Just wanted to make a quick video on how to change the spark plugs on a VR30 car. So to start off here, you're going to remove the engine cover. This guy just pulls off, no tools needed. Then you're going to use a 7mm socket and loosen the hose clamp on the throttle body. And mine was kind of stuck on there, so I kind of had to pry it a little bit. You're also going to need to loosen the hose clamp on the turbo side, on the other side of the intercooler. Alright, after this you have four 12mm bolts that need to be removed. These are what hold the intercooler onto the top of the engine. The two closer to the middle of the engine are pretty easy to get to. The two on the outside of the engine, they're a little more difficult to get to, but still not bad. After you do that, you can unplug your MAF sensor, and I took out this 10mm bolt here that was holding these coolant hoses down. Not really sure if it was totally necessary, probably don't have to. Just loosened up that small tab there. And once you get all that off, you can pretty much pull this intercooler right off and just kind of lay it on top of the engine. So I shimmied it off of the throttle body and then I just pulled straight up to get it disconnected from the pipe coming from the turbo. So I'm just looking around, making sure I got everything disconnected, and I am just going to take the whole thing and flop it right over there. And now you can see the coil packs. So these are single 10mm bolt for each of them. You can just undo that and unplug them, and you can pull them right up and out of the way. The back one on the passenger side is a little annoying, has some wires running over it. So you might need to get those wires out of the way. But once you pull out all three, it is super easy to get the spark plugs out of there. I actually don't have a spark plug socket in this size, so I ended up just using a regular socket and then pulling the spark plugs out of there with a magnet. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Could have sworn that I had a spark plug socket in the right size, but wasn't really that big of a deal. They came right out of there. "97506. I will put a link to these in the description, or a part number or something, so that you guys can find them more easily. I did gap these. I gapped these to 0.023. My old spark plugs were long overdue for a change, so the gap had opened up considerably. I believe that they were the original plugs in the car. At least it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm just lowering these in and torquing them down now. You're going to want to torque these to 11 to 14 foot-pounds according to NGK. After you get those torqued on, you can reinstall the coil packs using just a little bit of dielectric grease on those. Go ahead and get them plugged in, and then you can just reassemble the intercooler assembly and get it bolted back on there. Pretty simple spark plug installation overall. It's a little more annoying than other cars, but still very easily done at home. So moving on to the driver's side now, it's actually even a little easier than the passenger side. For whatever reason, I started off undoing the four bolts that hold the intercooler onto the engine. And once you get all four of those removed, you can go ahead, unplug your MAF sensor, and there's a couple extra spots here where you need to pull that wire off, but it's pretty easily accessed, so it shouldn't really give you too much trouble. You can see me here using a long set of needle nose pliers to get that wire freed up from that bracket. And now we're just going to loosen our hose clamps on our tubing. I had to use a actual ratchet down here. Couldn't quite fit my impact gun down there. You can see on this side as well, I had to use a screwdriver to kind of get that tubing freed up. It was pretty stiff on this guy. Yours is probably going to be a little easier to get apart. So once you have all that stuff undone, this guy is ready to come out. Lifted it up from the turbo side first, and then I just pulled it right off of the throttle body. A little bit of wiggling, comes right off, and I just laid this guy out of the way as well. And on this side, it's honestly even easier to get to your coil packs. So I just unplugged all three of these and used my 10mm socket to get all three of these removed. Same story on this side. Got all three spark plugs out without any issue. Just took them out with my ratchet here and plopped three new ones in there, torqued them to the same torque spec, 11 to 14 foot-pounds. And once you are done with that, you can go ahead and reassemble everything on this side, and you are pretty much done. I didn't really show this on the other side, but I always like to start spark plugs by hand with just the socket in the extension. Helps make sure that they're going in there correctly, and once you get them snugged up, finger tight like that, you can pretty much just get straight to torquing them. And when you're putting your intercooler back in place here, make sure you get that MAF wire routed correctly where it's supposed to go. After that, you can go ahead and shove the intercooler back into the intake tubing, and you can put all your bolts back into place, and this side is done. With the passenger side done and the driver side done, you can go ahead and throw your engine cover back on there, and congratulations, you are done.